So it was official yesterday. Deandre Ayton had signed with the Los Angeles Lakers after he finalized a buyout with the Trailblazers, and he's signing on for 2 years. And the Lakers are going to be reportedly paying him $8.1 million a year, and the remaining will come from the Portland Trailblazers. Now, what can I say about this acquisition for the Lakers? They needed a center. That was obvious. And I think this was a solid pickup because if you're going to rely on Jackson Hayes as your primary center, that wasn't going to be the best option for the Lakers. So they did improve in that area. He's an upgrade over Jackson Hayes. And something to keep in mind, DeAndre Ayton last year finished ninth in NBA shooting percentage, finishing around the rim. He ranked second in putback scoring and tossed in 58% of his hook shots from last season. One of the things that DeAndre Ayton will do for the Lakers is provide more offense, which is something you're going to need from this unit. Now, seeing DFS walk was a huge loss because the point of attack defenders aren't that strong. You're going to rely on LeBron James, who's going to be 41 this upcoming season. And if you get anything from Luka Doncic, which I think he'll be an above average defender, that should be your expectations. I don't think he's going to be this lockdown perimeter defender, but I think he'll be much better in that department. Just not like this tier of like a Drew Holiday or a Dyson Daniels type of defender. I think that's very unrealistic. But outside of that, who is guarding the perimeter effectively? Austin Reeves, not the best. You could throw out Vanderbilt, gives you about 20 minutes a night. However, he's not that really good on offense. So the spacing gets really clunky there. And you're relying on like a Dalton Connect to be a better perimeter defender. So the Lakers don't have a lot of good options right now. I know they're going to be in other trade talks and they're going to try to target some other guys. Maybe you can find a way to bring in Jonathan Kuminga. That might not be a bad idea. However, we shall see what the Lakers do next. I do think they lack in the point of attack area when it comes to their defense. Now, when it comes to DeAndre Ayton, he's going to be really good at finishing around the rim. I expect him to do well in that department. I would like to see him set harder screens. And I think, in my opinion, he'll probably be motivated because now he's playing for a team with championship aspirations, whether you think they're going to make it or not. That is the expectations for LeBron and Luka to be competing in the Western Conference. So DeAndre Ayton comes to a new situation where they're trying to win a lot of basketball games. And I think he wants to rebuild his image because people have labeled him as soft, a lack of motor. Now you're playing with two of the top 10 players, you could say, in the NBA. If you want to think LeBron's still a top 10 player or not, that's your opinion. But two guys who still want to win basketball games. And DeAndre Ayton, I would just like to see him set those screens and roll more to the basket. I've seen him do that in the past. And he's really good at getting off the screens and getting behind his defender for those lob dunks. And that's going to really help Luka Doncic when he's in pick and roll action, because if you can set a hard enough screen and roll quickly to the basket and not stay in the mid-range area, I'm not against that because he does shoot well for the mid-range. But if he can roll harder to the basket, that's going to open up the offense even more for the Lakers, because if they try to hedge that screen or switch, well, you got a decision to make. You're going to either leave Luka in space or leave Ayton in space, and Luka can just throw it up for a lob dunk. Last year, his mid-range percentage, I'm trying to find the percentage for you guys, 56.6 from the field. That's really solid. Between 10 to 14 feet, 48%, 15 to 19, 48%. So he's going to provide some good space in that area. I just think it's important for Ayton to make sure he is rolling harder, creating more opportunities for the Lakers on offense, because if defenders are trying to trap Luka, Ayton needs to be ready to catch the ball. And now he's really good on offenses where you have more shooters out there, so he can make a quicker decision for catch and shoot 3-point attempts. So guys like Dalton Connect, Austin Reeves, their benefit with DeAndre Ayton, because I think he'll be fine with making those choices. Outside of that, Ayton just has to be consistent. I think he'll do well at, getting shots off of Luka because he's a really good playmaker, and he'll create those type of looks for Ayton. It's just really up to him to not settle in the mid-range area, because that's just going to make the offense harder at times when you can just roll right to the basket and you're going to get a lot of lob looks at the rim. So if he's doing that consistently, the Lakers offense is going to be really good. Now, if I had to rank the Lakers on the contendership scale in the Western Conference, I have my tier 1 and tier 2 teams, and this is in no order. This is where I think in my tier 1s. It's the OKC Thunder, the Denver Nuggets, the Houston Rockets, and the Minnesota Timberwolves. The reason why OKC is there because this won the championship. I expect J-Dub and Chet to get better on offense and OKC to just get better overall. Look, the Nuggets, they added Cam Johnson. They brought back Bruce Brown. They brought in Valanciunas as a backup big and Tim Hardaway Jr. The Nuggets now have depth. They're reloading, and they just made Game 7 of the semifinals against the Thunder this past postseason, and they were lacking depth. And also, you still have Christian Brown. You've got Watson, who is a capable defender, really solid at guarding people. So I expect Denver to be better. Also, you can slot Aaron Gordon back into the post area, so he has to guard the perimeter players, and they have more rim protection. Then, of course, the Rockets, you traded for Kevin Durant. You locked up Steven Adams, Jabari Smith Jr., Van Fleet. You also brought in Clint Capella for more rim protection. The Rockets, and also DFS, let me not forget about him. They're going to be just hellacious to deal with their defense. So they're in that same tier 1 list. And then you got the Minnesota Timberwolves. They have made the Western Conference the past 2 years. I know they lost Nickeil Alexander-Walker, but they drafted Behringer, who is an 18-year-old who's going to benefit from playing alongside Rudy Gobert. We'll see how much of an opportunity he gets. But I expect guys like Jalen Clark and Terrence Shannon Jr. to fill in that role for NAW. Doesn't mean they're fill the defensive role, but I expect Minnesota's offense to be better with those two guys. And I like the Timberwolves' depth and the experience of making deep playoff runs. My tier 2 Western Conference teams, I have the Lakers, the Clippers, the Warriors, and I have the Dallas Mavericks. Those are my tier 2 contenders. So the Lakers are outside that list because, like I've stated earlier, I'm concerned about the perimeter defense. I think offensively they'll be really good. But when it gets to the playoffs, I trust the front court of the Timberwolves more. I trust the front court of the Rockets more. OKC's defense, I trust more. And I trust Denver. I just think those teams will be better this year than the Lakers. Doesn't mean that the Lakers won't improve around the margins. They're going to have to if they're going to get in these conversations, because I don't think you can deploy a lineup of Austin Reeves, Luka, LeBron, Rui Hachimura, and Deandre Ayton and expect to get consistent stops on a nightly basis, especially when you need a stop to win a basketball game. Sure, they might get it sometimes, but in the playoffs, I don't see that being a recipe for success. Will the Lakers be fun to watch? Yes, they're going to be entertaining. However, I still think they got to improve around the margins. They need another wing defender who can just slow down the opponents and help out the, older guy in LeBron James. I know people say, well, how much help does LeBron need? I'm not here for that conversation. I'm just saying that the Lakers do need more defenders out there. Look, I love Vanderbilt. He's excellent on defense. He can get up in your space, but he doesn't offer a lot on offense. So for the Lakers, it's a good, solid move. You needed a center, but they shouldn't be satisfied or content. I know they're targeting 2027 to land a superstar player to play alongside Luka, because the plan is to rebuild around him and move on from LeBron. I don't think they're going to trade LeBron James. I've seen reports about that. I highly doubt it, but you just never know with the Lakers. I do like the sign of DeAndre Ayton. I just think more needs to be done in order to get this team in the same conversations as the Nuggets, the Thunder, the Timberwolves, and the Rockets, in my opinion. Hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the acquisition of DeAndre Ayton for the Lakers. Do you like or dislike the move? What should the Lakers do next to compete the top teams in Western Conference? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.